because he's set on silent.
Je suis prêt pour faire ça.
Comment just now?
see the audio is coming in. So I'm guessing that's from his microphone.
Yeah, I was saying he can hear us, so it's whether stream is
It's
getting...
been on that other shot for a while. When you switch shots, does it cut our sound out?
No, it should not. It should not.
This is audio.
Okay, I'll try one more time.
Or maybe because you put it on that side, so that's
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
wrong there. I think that's your problem. So,
Should put this.
Faulty or no?
still trying to figure out something.
So it's still no audio.
We're trying.
I think I
Cannot hear
I
this.
can hear you.
Huh?
I can hear you. I think because it's the microphone.
So, you can hear my voice, so let's...
Silence.
Is it this one?
So it must be picking up the wrong microphone.
Never mind.
because-
Let's change it. We
Okay,
just silence it.
okay, we can get to silence.
So, just on the off chance that anyone can hear me, what's the 7 that now just appeared on Esther's rack after that play of joke? Ah, you've got me, Jason Katz-Brown. Please type if you can hear this. Love to get your confirmation in the chat so that we know we're not talking into a vacuum. Oh, wonderful. Okay. This is Chris, and apparently I am talking to a crowd of eager scrabblers on YouTube, so this is excellent. let us know. Please let us know in the chat. Yeah, that was it. So don't let them. It's whatever that window is. They're setting to silence, and they're losing us.
Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear both of us?
Okay. Go
Oh my God.
Go tell them not to change it.
Okay, well they can hear me, hopefully, and you in the headset.
Yeah. So we have confirmation from the viewers that they have sound. So please, if you can hear us in the team, let the settings ride for now so that we can commentate this game out, and then we can make sure we've got a working setup between rounds.
Okay.
Okay.
So I don't even need my code word of Zev, which has been my code word for the last couple of times. So shout out to you, Zev Kaufman.
Right. So the real question here is, has Esther spotted Cahoons? Is she sure of it? If she has, she's got a whopping great score available, hooking that airball bingo of Jesse's. If not, things could get pretty interesting. Jesse's got an okay set of letters and a decent lead. Of course, one way or another, Esther's going to swallow that spot, so treasure probably won't be
Oh,
final.
here it goes.
Here it goes. She did it for, 116 points. So suddenly, Jesse's in a big hole because I don't think that he can bingo, and Teo goes straight down, setting up the S, which isn't even the case S on the A column.
Yeah.
53-point deficit.
Yeah, Jason, she's certainly showing that she's quite good, again, in this tournament. I'm not sure if the sound was on when we were talking about it at the beginning of the game, but something I didn't know, apparently Esther's won a pretty big title quite a ways back.
Indeed, yeah. She was the British champion of 1985, I believe. So
That's a year before I was born.
Her Scrabble pedigree goes back a long, long way, before many of us even heard of the game or started to take it up. And as you can see, she has absolutely nailed a couple of pretty medium low probability bingos in this game already. Imbiber Cahoons is one of those CSW 15. Someone in the chat seems to think that it is.
Ed Oculus says that, in fact. Hello, Ed.
Don't think GGOOSSV makes much.
And Esther, even with a bit of Drek there, can easily block that spot.
She plays Vogue. Slightly surprised she did not dump the S on as well, considering she had 2 and it's not really an S-friendly board. But she knows her business, so...
I think whatever she's doing is working.
Yeah. Well, she's got an 82-point lead here. Jesse's got a lovely rack, but... in answer to the question there on duplicate S's, I think personally I would have played the S on that turn. But to each their own when it comes to duplicate S's, really.
Crackle prefers Urares and Urare to Tear. Tear seems weak.
He seemed to play it very quickly, or at least that's the impression I got from the feed. And it did seem like a move that warranted a little bit more thought, but we can't be entirely sure because sometimes the Quackle information comes in a bunch. Who's got any idea what Jesse ought to play with this rack of Gunters? I'm not sure I have seen anything convincing yet. None of the 3 sevens seems to go, and with only 15 in the bag, Jesse really has to stay in touch on the scoreboard as well as making sure that he's got bingo potential, and that's a bit of a challenge here.
Well, there's 4 E's in the bag and a blank, so as odd as it is, he could consider something like Ged and Zing and TE to keep on scoring. I don't know if it'd be my first choice, but if he wants to just score period and not completely kill the board, it's an option.
Yeah, definitely an option. But he won't like it much, so he'll probably spend a bit of time if that's the best he's looked at. I guess you could play on row 2. Anything that reaches across probably spends the S. Or Pung on row 1. Keeps an excellent leave. Surrenders the board a bit. If there are enough bingo lines available still, it might be a reasonable play at this point. Straight Zing fish has been suggested. It is a pretty excellent 6-letter key. Does it put enough pressure on Esther? I'm not sure. I think I'm leaning towards Pung out of all the plays that I've seen so far. But that said, I don't really love even that play. I think it's a bit of a spot for Jesse here. I think he really needs to score a minimum of 20 points.
And Repune just leaves a few more to draw. Not sure I would go for that though.
On the other hand, with the blanket 2 S's playing the extra couple of tiles, not the worst idea. I wonder about Repune actually. I quite like it now. 27 points. If Esther, and it knocks out all the cheap scoring spots in the top right of the board, which is actually pretty important here. Of course, there's an X hanging around in pool, which doesn't seem to have any knockout spots on the board. They can hear us, yeah. Thank you.
I mean, it would be a real long shot to try and fish for something like, I don't know how you even pronounce it, Shoana or whatever, you know, at 2J. You'd have to draw 4 tiles, XOAA, which would be pretty ridiculous. But yeah, because there's no cheap 50-point play with the X there otherwise.
Yeah, I think he's almost forced to play something in the top right of the board here, because not only must he bingo, he must stop Esther from outrunning his bingo. Completely agree with Jason that the G has to go.
Yeah, Hector, that's something that took me a while when I was starting to get more into strategy as well. As you know, you think of ing words and such as like, oh yeah, the G is so helpful, but actually it's really not. So then, while we're waiting for Jesse to make up his mind, we're looking over at Esther. Assuming Jesse doesn't make some strange opening or whatever, she's probably going to be looking at the same hotspots to deal with on the board. What do you think she's going to want to do, given what she's got?
Well, in fact, I think it depends significantly on what she infers from Jesse's move. I mean, her 2 basic strategies are block bingo lines or score points and try to outrun whatever Jesse does, and that's going to be a value judgment that depends significantly on this next play. I mean, this is probably the turning play, the key play of the game. Whatever Jesse does here, it will dictate both player strategy for the remaining moves.
And I think he certainly sensed that, given how much time he's taking.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the hallmarks of a good player is they know which moves
to wait and spend time
to
on.
think about. It's not always the ones you think. So there's a bit of love for just dumping the G with Zing in the chat. Presumably this has been backed up by a bit of looking at the pool and what bingos will play, and indeed a draw like E or O, which is highly likely, each of those draws gives bingos, I think maybe in 2 lines, given the NY hook.
He's played Goo. Okay, I actually looked at that down there thinking about that, but I wasn't sure how well it would do. Based on Jason simming with Quackle, I guess not the highest, but or the second highest, but maybe third or fourth or something.
Okay, he hasn't quite done it. He's done a play that's sort of similarly conceived, but not identical. And we wait to see whether he's rewarded or not.
Jason confirms that Goo is not even close in terms of how high it sims, but it looks like he's done okay, you know, given the play. Whether it plays.
His bingo's play, yeah. I think Jason made the point that any Val made a bingo in 2 lines, which was something that we hadn't got as far as working out, but that's, given that information, I'm completely on board with Zing as a play now. I think that was...
So Watts goes down fairly quickly for Esther to score, continue to pad her lead.
Yep. Can't argue with that. Esther would also be thinking about endgame timing.
Oh, she's got the blank now. That's a GGTY.
Very much so. So, slightly dangerous from Esther, that decision to go for points, in that the play left 9 tiles in the bag. So there was a possibility that Jesse could bingo, playing across from A1 and then picking up another 7 that played in 2 spots, column K and column A, and he could have won the game that way by drawing the blank, say. That isn't going to happen, and therefore the chances of a bingo finish from Jesse are much reduced, particularly since he's not even going to get the first bingo on this turn, unless I've overlooked something.
I'm not seeing anything really either, and as Jackson mentioned, Agonized is the likely candidate to go down for Esther next turn.
Yep.
Stonren.
Pretty bleak for Jesse, which he'll know. 100 points to catch up at no bingo and not much scoring power. I mean, he definitely needs 2 bingos to win this game from here, and that's basically unthinkable because Esther is only going to have to play 1 or 2 tiles anywhere to take the bag down below 7. So he's basically looking at a 0% win from here.
Yeah, so it didn't look like he picked up many tiles. I think he's made a short play, just gonna wait to see what that is officially. Zav, it's true that Aegis doesn't open bonus lanes, but it still leaves the D open, so either way, you have one open, it doesn't really make a difference.
So Jesse plays 2 tiles, and he'd be hoping to counter any bingo from Esther with an outplay bingo that turns around 7 tiles on Esther's rack to minimise the spread, or alternatively steal bingo last himself in the event of getting the blank. But it's not really an attempt to win the game, I don't think.
And he's pulled an N again. Tenors is not gonna go down here.
Nor will Rennett's. Yeah, that Zing play is looking better and better. That U is actually very helpful with the K column.
Yeah.
It's a better tile on the board than it was on the rack.
Oh, a Siege, yeah, that scores slightly more.
And no mercy from Esther. She knows she's won the game with that. And that's good enough for her.
So she's gonna go up to a solid 5-0. And yeah, with a big spread too. She's gonna be very likely well over 700 spread points now. She was 600 something on spread, I believe, going into this game. So
she was 680.
So it's 800 even possibly, which is huge.
Absolutely. So for those who haven't caught up with the standings, I can tell you that the top at lunch after 4 rounds, only 3 players were undefeated. That was Esther with a spread of 684, Jesse with a spread of 444, and Nigel, ominously, with a spread of 275. Then there were a big bunch of players on 3, headed by Mark Nyman, his margin was only 2-3-9. So Esther way out in front on spread at lunch and not doing any harm to herself at all in this game, which she has played, as Jason says, very, very solidly. And quick scan of the board from where I'm sitting, looks like Jesse still can't bingo.
Mm-hmm. He's not going to be liking this one.
Yeah, well, he probably shouldn't have played heartedly. I think that was a pretty big turning point.
That's huge.
But, you know, you can only deal with the player that you're faced over the board, and Esther did nothing wrong. Found the bingo that should have gone down, blocked it, and drew the tiles to win. Cahoons, can't argue with that. I wouldn't have found that. So,
yeah, Pence makes sense. I'm just gonna go through the motions here to wrap up the game. Certainly, yeah, Nietzsche, we've liked what we've seen from Esther. When we were hand annotating her game, I got to watch from her side of the table as she was playing. I didn't see any mistakes in that one, and yeah, she's having a great go so far, and showing that her third in Perth last year was well deserved.
Absolutely, she has really, really, really improved her game in the last 5 years, and is reaping absolutely justified rewards for it.
And we like to see that. There's all too many of us who put in various levels of effort, and we get frustrated when things don't always go our way, you know. But it's nice to see that someone has put in the effort and they are benefiting from it.
And one of Esther's strengths as a player has always been not only her strategic acumen, but also her absolute level-headedness over the board. I don't think I've ever seen her have a
meltdown or upset or anything.
Yeah, or the opposite. Get overexcited or tilt when things are going too much her way. She very much plays the same game every game, and that's, you know, a real advantage over the Scrabble board in the long term.
Hector, you're welcome. We're enjoying getting to do it now that we actually get to.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a challenge in various ways to get it set up and going on the technical end, but once it's working, it's certainly a pleasure. Nietzsche, yes. What we will be doing, based on my understanding, unless they change this up, is we're now going to be briefly stopping live streaming between rounds. And that's so that the games are able to be parsed and put up and uploaded separately for later viewing for anyone who wants to see the games in the future. So it's not going to be a steady stream for all the rounds together like it was this morning. So what we're going to do is we're going to briefly go off the air here. They are listening in over at the other side of the room there, so they're going to be taking us off shortly, but we'll be back for the next round, and I'm not sure who that will be yet, but I suspect Esther is quite possibly going to be hanging around, given her commanding spread of everyone.
I may be able to advertise who it will be. Just let me
let's
check
find out before we go off the air.
Check the pairings. No, I'm sorry, I don't think we do have, at least I don't currently have available to make pairings for round 6.